Thank you, folks. Folks, we want to get this Q&A started. And we're honored to have here the co-director and writer of the film, Boaz Yehonatan Yacov. There's water right there.
Hi, good evening.
Boaz, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for this wonderful film. I have a lot of questions. I also want to give some time for the audience to ask some questions. But folks, I'll just ask that everyone settles down because we want to respect the filmmaker here who did a fantastic job. Maybe you could start by telling us, I saw that you were credited that the story is your story.
Yeah.
You tell us where this came from and how you were inspired.
The first frame is the one saying that I dedicate this movie to my friend who passed away like 3 years ago. Someone who was older than me that I met and had a very, very strong, it's a connection, friendship, someone who my whole process of becoming Orthodox started by meeting him. I felt I was 24 years old after a year in Los Angeles, starting to work as a camera assistant. My parents were there, and I came to make a dream come true, and I found that I'm living in a place that I don't really want to live in. And for me, this was like the end of the world, and suddenly it collapsed on me, and I met this friend who let me understand that it's whole the black feeling I had was a dot on an infinite white world. And this friendship was something when I was like 35 years old, when this idea came up, I felt and I found out that the friendship I had with him was the most significant thing in my life. More than being a cameraman, more than anything else. And a thought of a story about friendship came up. And being very close to Chabad, the whole concept of redemption is on the table all the time. And
that's the title of the movie.
Yeah. And I felt that the friendship we had and what you do with your fellow man is basically the fuel of the redemption. And because I guess that the bad feelings we have about the world and life are basically built on separation that we feel and see. And being able to be together and sacrifice to your friend or people is something which can change things. So I started thinking about a story which will talk about friendship and how it redeems all the people which are in the story. And this is how the story came up. So basically the 4 friends are against the 4 exiles that the Jewish people went through and still are in the 4th one. And Geula is against the redemption, which is slightly sick right now, but in a way she's healthier than anyone else. So this was like the basic structure of the story.
It's beautiful. I think it makes me want to see it yet again. And then take in some more lessons. Just to get a little bit technical for a moment, you are also the cinematographer of the film.
Yeah.
It looks beautiful. Yeah. I love the style of it. And you've worked with Yossi Madmoni before, the co-director, as a cinematographer. Yeah. And this time you were taking the co-director seat too. What was different?
Not too much. I mean, the most different thing was that I knew that in any stage, if things won't feel to me that they're right, I can say it's not right. Which is something that I couldn't really say before. I could suggest, but you can't say it's not going to happen like that.
I heard on Israeli film sets that's not true. That even the water boy can come and say give comments.
Yes, I think it's beautiful. I mean, a few times in my life I was working, and suddenly the girl who gives drinks looks at the monitor and says, "It doesn't feel true." And then you check yourself again, and you see that she's a human being with feelings, and she was right. Titles isn't something which changes what you feel and who you are and what you see. It's just a title. And
I was just reading an article that Lior Raz, the creator of Fauda, has been doing all these international films, but he says in Israel's the only place that the sound man tells him that he gained some weight.
Yeah.
It's true. I've noticed that too.
Look, after a year working in LA in movies, I prefer it, like in Israel.
I completely appreciate that as well. And actually, this might lend to my next question as far as the authenticity of the film. So much of the acting was... I'd love to hear about how you worked with the actors. I felt like we were a fly on the wall watching these scenes develop. And how close were they to a script? How did you work with the actors?
Look, I think that from the first moment we knew that we're dealing with a conflict, and we don't want it to feel in any second like we're having characters who are carrying an agenda on their back. We want to have characters who are people who are in the conflict, but they aren't being used by the creator. In a certain way, the most amazing thing about God is that you don't see him. If you would have seen him, life wouldn't be as interesting as they are. And also in movies, if you feel the creator, you can't really go in. And when you don't feel him, you feel comfortable because you have your own mind and your own decisions and feelings. So we like really tried not to be there in a way. And it carried all the way into the casting decisions, into the way it's filmed. And basically we like really had a dream of having a real band. So it made us look for musicians who might play well. I like remember that 4 months before the shooting, I went into Google and I put Israeli rock drummers, and came up like 5 or 6 people. And Shachar,
that's all there are in Israel, 6 drummers.
Yeah, no more, a bit more, but like people, like people will be on Google. And Shachar was there, and I saw a head start that he was trying to like raise money for his new album, and he looked like very nice and with lots of character and handsome and everything. And I said, well, he might be Danny. And we called him, and we did an audition, and he was great. And Guli, the guy who plays the bass player, he's also a real guitar player in 2 rock bands. He never played in his life in a movie. And the guy who plays Avi is a semi-musician, but he also never played. And the lead character, who's amazing, Moshe, is amazing. I mean, it's things fell through in such an amazing and miraculously way. I mean, Moshe is an actor which I worked with like 20 years ago in a short movie, and he was so amazing that I felt that I had to sit and write a character for him. And I just sat and draw like a few scenes. It's like a child who wants to buy a car for his father, and he picks up like a few dollars, and it just faded away. And Moshe was basically the best actor in his class. And somehow he didn't really get along with the world. And he stopped acting, and he started working in a bakery. And afterwards, he started becoming Orthodox. He's really Orthodox. And he left the acting. And now he's working as a watchguard in a school till today. After he won he won the Best Actor prize in Carole Zabar, which is like the fourth biggest festival in Europe. So his part is like really his life. And so it made it like very documentary in a way. It's very, very real. And we saw like many actors, and nobody felt real in a way. I mean, it's very hard to feel real.
This will be my last question, and then we'll take some from the audience. But continuing with that thought, I'd say the most impactful moments are the singing, those music moments, and you guys spend time. It's almost you let the song. In most movies, they kind of like will give you 10 seconds of a song and then move on for either rights reasons or other reasons. But you guys, I mean, those are during the wedding scenes and then during that radio session. We really get to enjoy the music, and Moshe, when he's singing those songs, he's really singing? He's really performing?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's he sings for real. We took him for like 10 vocal lessons, and he became a real singer. And it's a thing. In a certain way, to sing is much harder than to act, because you like strip yourself totally. And I mean, in the beginning, he didn't know what to do on the stage. He felt like frozen. And after a few takes, he started feeling very free and comfortable. And we saw him like a year after the shooting, Sylvia, my wife, and I. And she didn't see him for 1 year, and she told him, Moshe, you look differently. I mean, something in himself after doing this movie changed, and I mean, like stretched his spine. I mean, it became like really.
And who wrote the music for those songs? Where those come from? Or I guess from the main song.
Asaf Talmudi is the guy who did worked on the music of the whole movie, and he did a great job. He also works with Shuli Rand and Aviatar Banai. There's one song in the movie which is mine, and yeah.
Beautiful. I would love to, thank you. We have time for a couple of questions from the audience. They'll still be good, don't worry. Those questions matter too. We have a microphone circulating. It's going up there.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe this is just me, but it seemed to end a little abruptly, and I wasn't quite sure why it ended exactly where it did. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I can talk about it because we thought a lot about it. The movie isn't a movie which the plot is the hero. And we felt that, I mean, in the beginning we talked, and I told Yossi, the story isn't about if she's going to be cured or not. It's about what kind of a father she's going to have after she's cured, Bezrat Hashem. And I mean, the hero is not the plot, but what he goes through in the movie. And this is why we didn't want any other kind of end, which will be an end of a plot. And this is why, I mean, this moment is much greater because it's not a part of a plot ending. If she's cured, or they play in a gig or whatever.
There's another one. Could you speak a little bit about how much direction you gave to the little girl who played Gula? Because she was very charming and honest and authentically a child, and she didn't look like over-rehearsed or anything.
Basically, she didn't know the whole story. For her, it was like a story of a girl who's being cured during the movie. We saw the first 5 girls we saw. She was one of them, which is amazing. Basically, you see hundreds of girls. And there was one who was like very assured of herself and very like a good actor and everything. And Emily was like curious, and she was like moving her hands, and you didn't really know what's going inside of her. And I mean, it felt very, very nice, but we still wanted to check that she can play and like remember the text and go through a scene. Basically, not too much work was done with her. I mean, her mother was an actor, so she worked with her a bit, and basically she came quite ready with like small directions and many gifts, you know, between takes.
We'll take one last question down here.
It was really a remarkable film. Thank you. I was struck by the friendships, but I was also struck by the lack of friendships in the Dati world and the lack of family. So I was wondering if you could address that.
Look, basically, part of the relationship which she has with the Datim people is his fault also, you know. It's not to say something about the Orthodox people. I mean, I myself lived in Bnei Brak for like 4 years, and I didn't find myself feeling that this is my home. I lived there. I guess that people who become Orthodox, they have to find a very like their own home. They can't really be, especially if you're an artist, and you I mean have to feel your own special spot, and I mean it isn't anything to say something about the like religious community or anything like that. I mean he's like basically looking for his comfortable home with God in a way, and he doesn't feel comfortable first of all because he left the main core of his soul, which is dealing with music, and being after 15 years in touch with his friends gives him like a mirror to understand that he killed a part of himself which can't let him stay alive and happy. And this is what he goes through. And when I was like 17, I started studying films. And the second that I had to take a shot, I felt that dealing with feelings is something which saved me in an age when I had some stuff and trouble, and it's an age of many feelings. And dealing with art and cinematography gave a whole space for those feelings, and in a certain way, it saved me. And when I was 24, and I had a very hard time, and the notion of God saved me in a way. And those two lights, they can live together. And I mean, he feels that they can't live together until he finds his friends again and finds it. So.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
There's a lot more to discuss in this film. I have many more questions, but let's do it over some cake and wine upstairs and some kugel, too, in the spirit of the weddings. Enjoy. Thank you very much. Folks, join us throughout the week and help us spread the word. Have a good night.